Welcome to the Fellas Podcast, the ultimate Formula One podcast for fans by fans, where we discuss all the happenings in the world of Formula One. Now, let's get into it.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Fellas Podcast. What an eventful Formula One race in Montreal this weekend. So many things happening on track. Ray, do you want to set us off, or what do you think? What do you think about the race this weekend?
Well, I think the race was very entertaining because all participants were on screen all the time. You know, it wasn't that you had somebody that was gone and you forgot about them every once in a while. So I think the rain made a very good equalizer for the event.
Yeah.
Right. And that's that kind of made it more exciting for us, right? Because I think it became across as a true team effort to present the results that were given. You know, even though we're going to dive into some of the other pieces, but I just think from an overall perspective, based upon it, I think it was a good race.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What about you, Simon?
It was entertaining to me. I loved it. I love the fact that there was some live strategy that had to be played out during the race versus prior to the race. The tire selections, the weather. I love the results. I think the winner, Verstappen, earned that race. All the different dynamics of the race. Lando had an opportunity. George had an opportunity. And believe it or not, Piastri and Hamilton had an opportunity to win the race. So I thought it was a great race, very entertaining, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I agree. I felt for that this race was one of the best so far of the season. So I enjoyed Monaco, for what Monaco is, but this race, my gosh, it looked like McLaren definitely has closed up to Red Bull. And the Mercedes cars looked really good this weekend. Looked really. I mean, I say that because Max didn't walk away with that great lead that he had. So I'm saying for this track, I think it's showing that McLaren really did make some covered some ground to close that gap up.
If I could just chime in on that.
Yes, you can.
I still do not believe that they are ready to challenge Red Bull yet. Heads up.
We got to talk about this one. All right.
Because I just wanted to on your comment, right? Because I forgot where he got back the lead, right? For whatever. Just jumping to that to push this point, and he put a gap of like 2 point something seconds on the field before the DRS came up, right?
Right.
I think, and again,
are you referring to real quickly, Ray? I don't mean to cut you. Are you referring to at the end of the race or?
Yeah, towards the end of the race when he put that gap, right?
Okay.
So because I myself was saying, and I've said it on here that I've made the statement that nobody's going to touch him this year, right?
Right.
And yes, there are some teams. McLaren is one. What's happened with Mercedes, man? They have your engine and they're beating you with it. But anyway, that's all right. That they're stepped up, but I still need to see more proof because still in my mind, this track is still a compromise track. How so? For me, there was primarily one passing location on the track, right? And that was the end of a straight, right? And that's kind of where Red Bull, they dominate. If it were a dry race, I think we would have seen a completely different stuff. But because it was rain, it brought the equalizer, and that kind of helped out with everything. So it's still there. They have made strides, but I don't think they're there yet to go to one up on just go head to head with them and just run them down. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to be on that straight and the dry, and a man trying to put some lengths on you, and you're just like, I'm still here, bro. What you got?
Right,
you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm waiting to see, right? I'm not waiting for seeing the other stuff, and I'm not waiting for strategy. I'm waiting for you to go, hey, I'm pushing it. And yo, bro, I'm still here. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Right? So anyway, but all right. So that's how I came to that conclusion. Right?
Okay. Ralph, can I challenge that a little bit?
Yes, you can. Go right ahead.
Ray, I hear what you're saying. However, Lando Norris had a 7.5-second lead on Verstappen prior to the safety car, and Verstappen couldn't catch him, right? I think whoever had clean air was going to be able to put a lead on whoever was behind him, especially if you don't have DRS, right? That's just my opinion based on what I saw. Lando was taking that race, that safety car reminded me of what happened to Lewis in 2020, except that it wasn't at the end of the race and it wasn't any foul play in with the FIA, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, jumping in.
Yeah. I think the same thing happened to Lewis that happened to Lando. And if that safety car had turned on maybe 5 or 10 seconds earlier, Lando probably would have pitted just like everybody else. And then he would have be able to maintain that lead. But you're right. We weren't able to confirm that with Verstappen taking the lead and having a 2.5 seconds over Lando. However, this was Lando's and George's race to lose, and he lost it.
The limitation I heard about the Red Bull when Max came over the radio and says he can't hit the curbs because, the car is, it's want to slide right off the track. Whereas the opposite of that was the McLarens were hitting the curbs and they were okay. Now what it was is maybe they knew how to do it, but the car absorbed it better. So there was a handicap on the Red Bull, which is, from my point of view, it's good to see that they don't hit everything perfect. But I agree with Simon.
Okay.
It was the race. The race was it was Lando's and George's to lose, and they did. Say it that way. And we could go through and say where. We know where McLaren basically seemed to have thrown it away.
All right, if I could just come back on to what Simon says, right? The timing of the safety car, right? They said it was more equivalent to what happened at Monaco, I believe it was, or something like that. But anyway, it was what hurt Lando is that the car picked him up, right? Because he was the leader of the race, right? Mm-hmm. So the safety car didn't jump out, as you said, far enough ahead of him so that they could have said, box now, right? The car waited for him and picked him up, okay? Right. However, they had a time that, I think he stayed out one lap too long. I agree with, I think it was Julian Palmer, that, when they pitted, they turned to turn and burn, right? And then with the intent that he was going to build that gap and then come back in that next lap, change and go, right? And still be in there. So that could, that played a little bit, in my opinion, against Lando, right? But again, I'll still stand on, if this happened on a dry track, a dry track, right? And we had this, then I'd be inclined to agree with you, but I still disagree, right? That they're not there yet. Because the equalizer was the weather that caused the tarmac. Because the thing with Verstappen, right, is that it seemed that for whatever reason, his suspension was too stiff, right? Mm-hmm. So he wasn't able to absorb the bumps on the curbing, right? So, and plus since it was wet, the curbing, the shockwave would go through the car and then push the car off, right? Where the other guys were able to do it. And still, it was still tricky because if we're talking about curbing, I'm just going to jump a little. Look what happened to Sykes, right? He hit the curbing. Everybody's been hit, but he hit it a couple millimeters, two in the wrong place, and it sent him the wrong way. So you have to know how to hit the curbing. But just rolling back to the overall theme of the thing, my verdict on them still, they're challenging. Yes, I agree. But again, bro, straight heads up, bro. Let's go. You're pushing. I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? You're pushing. I'm still here. That's what I'm looking for. And
well, I hear you, but I think compared to last year, so far, yes, they're still dominating, but it's not that runaway like you said earlier in the season. Max would already he could have went and used the bathroom and came back, jump in the car and going with the gap that he had built up to these guys.
Yeah,
that window has shrunk.
there were times when Max had a pit lane change or tire change amount of time to win the race.
Yes.
That ain't happening no more.
Yeah, no.
So,
You know, he what happened when he pitted with Lando? It was with Lando where he tried to get around him in the pit, but it wasn't enough. So he came in behind him. Those kind of close calls we haven't seen for Red Bull in a while. They would have been, like Simon said, he'd have been pitted, gone, and how many seconds down the road, and you know, he could pit, they could mess up and get it, and he would still be in the lead. So far, I'm just saying the pendulum seems to be swinging where that is not the case. And I have to commend McLaren. Their car is running really well. You know, it's to the point now that if Red Bull is not on point, they could lose it because there's Lando and
that is correct. That is correct.
Together. So that's what it was.
Yeah. I hear what you all are saying, right? But the equalizer, remember, was the weather and the track. Mm-hmm. If we go to like a Spa or we go to another track circuit, regular circuit, mm-hmm. in the dry, and Lando is pulling up on him before 10 laps out, then I'm on board, right? Right now, I see that there's progress being made. I agree. However, but I don't think they're there yet. You understand? I don't think they're there yet. I think because again, yeah, he needs to feel the heat that, there's a couple laps to go and he's trying to pull on the dude and the dude is just like, yo, bro, I'm still here. Yo, right. Bro, I'm still here. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But yeah, okay, I agree. I got you.
When you say the weather is the equalizer, yeah, and that's part of racing, right? Mm-hmm. That's the weather is the equalizer. When you said that the car the Red Bull may have been too stiff, that's true because from my understanding, when they know they're going into a wet weather situation, they will try to set the cars up to be the suspension to be a little softer, right?
Yeah, for the transfer.
They can maneuver it better. It's not as twitchy in the wet, and then possibly because they knew it wasn't going to be for the full length of the race, they tried to find that middle ground, and maybe Red Bull, had it a little too tight compared to McLaren. But what I will say is the McLaren cars handle the wet well. George looked strong in the Mercedes in the wet as well. Lewis was good back there battling with Alonso, and that was entertaining because I the rivalry, and Alonso let him know, hey, I'm not letting you through. But anyway, to the point, I still feel, I'm not saying Mercedes yet, but McLaren definitely have, and I feel that they're still pushing. And something we raised in one of the past episodes, I don't know if Red Bull is still developing the car because I haven't heard anything of them coming with any new updates, right? But yet McLaren did, right, in the past races, and it seems like it's working, right? They're closing in. So I don't know.
Well, if I had to guess, there's one coming for Red Bull. I think they may not have a big focus on it, mm-hmm. but I think there's still at least one left for the season, right? At least one left for the season, right? Because it's just like when they do they go Q3 qualifying, right? And they know they lay down a hot lap, they go back in the pit and chill out and see if anybody can come closer before they go out. And I think that's kind of where Red Bull is right now. Is like, why are we burning the dollars right now? Let's see who can get to us. And then, they already have, I think they have plans on the board of where they want to move. And they're saying, if they get to this point, then we're going to drop this. Right. But if they can't reach this point, then we don't need to go through the cost of manufacturing it. Right. They did it all, on similar time, everything. And they have it sitting there and, saying we don't need to do my opinion on that, to run through that stuff. And, we'll see. Again, I'm waiting for the track. I'm waiting for a regular track.
What about Spain?
Spain, yes. Any dry track, right, that we can go. I think that, then you'll get to see if you can draw on them quicker, right? Because they are quick. And don't get me wrong, they are quick. But yes, I'm waiting for a non-compromised environment.
Let me say this. I just looked here. Japan, Max won. Sergio Perez came in second. The gap between Max and Sergio was 12 seconds. Mm-hmm. China, Max won. Lando came in second. The gap between Lando and Max was almost 14 seconds, rounding up, right?
Okay.
Miami, Lando won. The gap between Lando and Max was 8 seconds, right? Italy, Max won. The gap between Lando and Max was 0.7.
Yeah, Imola. Yeah,
seconds.
that's what was Imola, right?
So Monaco, we know what Monaco is, and
right. Yes, I agree.
So
I agree.
That. And then now we come to Canada. Max won. The gap between Max and Lando was 4 seconds. That's closing the gap, man.
That's again. You guys. Let me just say this. I would like it to happen, but I think do not count your eggs before they completely hatch. Right?
I didn't say they're going to win. I said they close the gap. They're putting
they're getting closer. Yes, I can agree with that. They're getting closer, right? And we can argue as how close they really are, but they are getting closer. Yes.
Right. Spain is the next one. We'll see. But all I'm saying is we're accustomed to seeing 13 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever. There's got to be a reason. And we can't, just like this book I read once where the guy was a pro golfer and he was playing in Scotland and he hit the ball and the wind hit it and he goes to his caddy. Can you see how that wind took the ball? And the caddy said, well, you got to play the wind, don't you? Rain don't matter. It happens. How do you handle it?
I think Spain is going to tell you a lot, but what happened in qualifying, right? It was dry in qualifying, right? And Mercedes and McLaren was showing everybody, hey, I'm here. I am here, right?
Wasn't there like some weather stuff related in qualifying also?
On the last practice, and what about practice? Well, let's go to practice then.
Practice. All right. So let me say this: practice. It don't mean a crap to me.
All right,
because people sandbag in practice and do all sort of stuff. So so for me, where the rubber hits the road is qualifying, right? That's where qualifying comes in. That's where rubber hits the road for me, right? But practice is just practice. You know what I'm saying? I think they do us a disservice when they call out, but they do it to gather people's interest. They call out, XYZ was, at FP1 was the top of the time charts. So what? It's practice, bro. P3, FP3, but finish on top. We've seen that where, I forgot what it is. One of those guys, I think it was either Mercedes finished at the top of one of the, another team finished at the top of the pre-practice 3. And when it went to qualifying, Red Bull waxed their butt, right? When they went to the race, Red Bull waxed them. So for me, it's qualifying because that's where you got to show all your cards, right? And then it's the race. Then you figure out, what you're going to do within the race to, to bring yourself to, to the front. So
I bet you $1, Max win.
I can afford that. Thank you for being for being considerate of my pocket.
About the principle behind it. It ain't about the amount.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll donate to a charity.
The gap, I'm looking at it from Imola again when Oscar, that was Oscar Piastri. His qualifying to come in second to Max in qualifying, his time was not that far off. That's all I'm saying is the gap is not there.
All right. I'm going to end this right now.
Okay, go for it.
Checo is telling you everything you need to know about Red Bull. Checo last year was right behind Max.
Yep.
And Checo can't even come in third or second or fourth or fifth right now.
Yeah.
Well, okay. All right. You want me to chime in on that one for you?
Go ahead.
Okay. Checo's on siesta right now because he signed his big contract. So he's like, yo, I ain't have to push nothing right now. I'm just chilling. Right, because I have 2 years to go, and if they
know his role, is that what you're telling? You know his role?
No, he knows his role. He
knows his role, but he's just chilling right now because he don't even have to put effort in because he knows, bro. If you go to drop me, I got that clause that if you fire me before time, I'm getting paid. So Checo is just taking it easy right now because for what happened in the a couple of races, I am not. Yeah. Anyway, I'm bewildered with the performance, right? And I think I've mentioned it before because I've seen him in lesser vehicles do much better. And again, it's because of how Max likes the car to be loose in the back. That's not his style, maybe. So it's just he shows up and he doesn't show up. You have off days, so yeah. But
again, I couldn't do what these guys do. But yeah, and in regards to Checo, it's not right now showing it. He was a good number 2, right? He was a good number 2 in that the only way you could become a number one or being seen for that is you have to be challenging the clear lead driver, and he doesn't have the measure of Max. And he may have it here and there, or had it here and there. He hasn't shown it yet this year again. Mm-hmm. And what makes a world champion? Consistency. I mean, Lewis lost to George today, but he raced him hard for it.
No disrespect to Checo. Checo is still top 10 best driver in the world currently. He's top 10, right? Yeah, because he's finishing top 10.
Yeah, I give it to him. Yeah.
Right? With a Red Bull car. So whether Red Bull is way ahead of every other manufacturer right now is irrelevant. He's finishing top 10. Most of the time top 5, so he's still top 10. So I would probably re-sign him anyway, because if you have a Red Bull car and you're coming in 12th and 14th, then yeah, he's time to go. Max is a unicorn. Lewis is a unicorn. There's unicorns out there. Lando to me is a unicorn. Piastri is becoming one. He's growing his unicorn right now. But yeah, the top 10 should be re-signed no matter what. Now, whether or not past top 10, you get a 1 year or 2 year deal. I mean, it's only 2 years anyway. What's the average deal in F1? Is it 3 to 4 or 5 years? What did Lando?
I'm not sure.
Anyone know what Lando got? Okay, but anyway, you have to re-sign him if he knows his role.
I agree with you, because I was just looking at his stats, the finishes this year, and I mean, this one was a DNF. It happened or whatever, but yeah, he's, in the beginning he was there. He was there with Max. In the beginning he was there, so he's not that inconsistent. He DNF'd in Monaco and stuff, but yeah, he's okay. I agree with you, Simon. I can agree with that.
Well, so that would put Sainz in there, Leclerc in there, Piastri's in there, right? I want to say from the way to driving, I put Tsunoda in there too. Yuki's been driving really well this year.
Sorry, he's probably the most improved driver, I would think.
Yeah, so I'd put him in there. But I just, again, I don't know enough to understand if from just looking on from the outside looking in, and my little limited knowledge of cars and stuff like that. It's like, wow, that you could change the setup of a car to make it, not the favorite of a particular driver. But I thought that these guys being, world champion, the best drivers in the world, would be able to adapt. And it's just showing me, if that's the case, then it shows me how far in the setup and the design of the car they went in that direction, that even though that you have the similar car on the same team, you can't dial some of that back for the other drivers so they feel comfortable in the car. You know what I'm saying? So that to me would be, to require more knowledge to understand that. But that's what it seems like. And I wanted to say another thing about the Max complaining about the stiffness. I don't know if that was a ruse or not. You know what I'm saying? For because he was running around out there before, and I could have sworn that he was coming off of some of the curbs. You know what I'm saying? Right. So so I'm not sure if they if it's real that they must have really turned up the tire pressure on the tire, or the tire had a really stiff sidewall for it to really throw it out of whack for him, right? So I'm not sure if he was just baiting the rest of the guys to say, "Oh, my car's not great, but I'm still beating you." Right. So anyway, but
Can I show you guys something?
Sure.
This is how close the points are. This, if you take out Max Verstappen, even if you leave him in, Leclerc is 138, Lando is 131, Sainz is 108, 107. I mean, that top 5 is Checo's 107. But that top 5 on any given race, if Max didn't even win today, it would be even closer than that. Right. So Leclerc and Sainz didn't even get any points today, so that hurt them. This really is, and are we even halfway through the season yet? No. It's I know you think Red Bull and Max is going to take this away, but I don't think so. I think there's still some hope in there that there's going to be some challenges and some really good racing down at the end of this.
Don't get me wrong. I feel they're going to win it. But I just think they're gonna have some battles, for it. It's not going to be a runaway. I still think they're going to win it, but it's close. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. McLaren is getting closer.
Mercedes top qualifying. So to me, that tells me a lot. That tells me you're in the running now. You're a top 5 contender.
Yeah.
We'll see next week. I bet you $1 Max won't win. We'll see.
So we're up to $2 now.
I'm glad you're so confident in that. You know, glad you're so confident.
Yeah, man.
But Ray, you mentioned when I said Lewis challenging George.
Yeah. So all right, here we go. Yeah. So here we go. Right. I think Lewis threw George a bone on that pass because Lewis is a seasoned driver, right? Mm-hmm. And he knows it's for us that did, was it geometry or whatever it was? You know that if you sit in the middle of the track, that dude's gonna have to go to the outside, right? Mm-hmm. And to go do it. However, he shifted over a little bit,
gave him a little room
to give him the room. Mm-hmm. So and again, from a man, Randy Popes, the driver that has the inside has the corner. Mm-hmm. So basically, he gave George a pass. He could have covered it more if he didn't shift, or just went over. Not even like a tire more. Mm-hmm. He would have pushed George on the outside, and then guess what? He got the corner. Mm-hmm. George can't say anything because whoever got the corner on the inside of the corner got the corner. You know what I'm saying? That's racing. So I think he threw him a bone, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Is he checking out and just saying, it's over now? You know what I'm saying? Because it's funny. I know the radio things are delayed, where they came over and said you can race, but leave room type of deal. Yeah. And and if it were me and I was Lewis, I wouldn't have moved over because I know there's so much room on the outside. So go slow down and go over there, bro. What I'm saying? I'm here first, and I'm staying in my line. You know what I'm saying? I'm not blocking you. I'm staying right in my line. So I think he threw him a bone.
This is Hamilton, the 2 silver arrows into
right here,
the final chicane.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He gave George that inside.
I think Mercedes realized that they had Russell had a faster car and better tires. Right? Yeah. He had the mediums, and Lewis had the hard tires. I think they would be stupid for them to race at this point because one of them is going to get a podium. But I don't disagree with you. I think Lewis said, "Hey, you know what? This is a good race. We're going to get some great points. We've pretty much told everybody we're back in the run-ins. We're the top 5 team now, and let's just go ahead and get a podium." And Russell was a little more hungry than Lewis at this point. But Lewis mentioned in his post-race interview that for some reason his tires went up to temperature even at pit. So right now, when you put the covers over the tires, he was expecting 3 to 4 more degrees of temperature. And if he doesn't get that, it's harder to ramp up the tires and in that environment up to those 4 degrees that he needed. And he said he didn't have the temperature in the tires. So I don't think he was going to race Russell knowing that he just didn't have the temperature as well. So
So can I jump in on this one?
Sure,
absolutely.
I'm no engineer. I wish I was, but it's still the temperature there in the climate was not that hot, right? And I did not understand when Lewis came in for the second go around, instead of staying on the mediums, he went to hards. And I'm not sure if it was part of the requirement that he didn't touch hards before, but usually if it rains, then they throw everything out the window. You don't have to do the special tires, everything you could choose. So I'm not sure why would you go to hards, because when they pitted, it was, they were towards the back end of the race. So the medium should have been able to last you, going through there and allow you to attack, right? So I'm not sure how that strategy came down that he went to the hards for that, right? Because the sun just barely came out, the climate was cold, so you just switched on the mediums like almost quicker out there, right? And a lot of other people that came in, they jumped on mediums as opposed to. So I'm not sure that choice, right? But and that could then play into what you said, because that's true, right? It's just that they couldn't get the temperature in the tire. So
yeah, I don't think it was a great choice either. What do you think, Ralph?
No.
Could have stayed in the mediums.
No, all I was gonna say is Lewis ended up getting the fastest lap of the race at the end. Like his tires
switched on at one point. You're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a possibility. Yeah, it did look like you said, if you're gonna cover you're gonna put your car in a spot where the other person, the guy trying to pass you, has to literally crawl around you.
Yeah.
And he did, and the commentator said it. He left them a little bit too much room.
Yeah, exactly. For a seasoned driver like him.
Lewis knows what he's doing. So yeah, in some way, I guess he felt, I'm not gonna race him for this. He's quicker at that point. Let me let him have it. Right. Let me let him through.
And early in the season, Russell gave him a pass earlier too. I can't remember what it was, but Russell wasn't as happy when the team said let Lewis by. So
right. Yeah,
give and take.
Yeah, Lewis is now an elder statesman. Like I said, he's not like how he was when he was a rookie and came in. Like, he uses his head now, and yeah, it could be like what Ray said too. Maybe he felt he didn't have it all right then. He's like, I'm not going to deny the team this. He would have been harried by George more because George seemed quicker, right? By him, and who knows, they might have touched and went out. So yeah, I could concede that. By that move, it did look like he left him room.
Yeah, I actually thought George and Lando were going to take each other out in that one chicane. I was just like, oh well, Lewis was going to have third.
Yep.
But yeah,
I thought they were going to also. So let me ask you this. We didn't talk about this. We talked about some of the passes. We talked about Alex Albon on Daniel, Ricciardo, and Ocon, right? Actually, no, we didn't touch that. That was a nice pass that Alex Albon did on Danny Rick and Ocon to take 9th place. I mean, he basically he split between them and came through pretty aggressive and clean. Sad that Carlos lost it and then took Alex out, but he was running strong back there.
I think yes, the execution of pass was good, but he had the right drivers around him, especially I forgot who was the last guy that he went to the turn with, because he could have tried to make the turn, but he just bled off at the end and let him go on in, right? So he was in the right crowd for that. But before we jumped away, I wanted to do one more Russell pass if we could. Guys, yeah. And I want to talk about the pass that he did with Piastri, right? The attempted pass that with Piastri, because I heard in one of the I think the after race wrap up that Piastri I think was called to the steward's office to possibly talk about that, right? And and I don't know if anything came of it, because I don't think anything should come of it, because again, but my man Randy Popes, the driver that has the inside corner owns the corner. Right. Mm-hmm. And Russell was coming on, from the outside, and dude, you can't fit there in that corner. Right. You have to pass before you get to the corner for doing it. So if they're going to come back and, call and say, well, George was a little bit ahead, that's ridiculous. Yeah. You're on the outside, bro. Figure it out, because I need the corner. I got the corner. I need to drift out. You need to figure out what you're doing. So, so I just wanted to comment on that. I don't know if you guys caught that one, but I heard
that is perfectly timed for the 3-time world champion. And so we're looking at the battle with the second McLaren. The man from Melbourne staying ahead, but for how much longer? Russell trying to power around the outside.
Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to. Yeah.
Corner. Russell rejoins. Piastri stays ahead.
So that's just those are my takeaway on that. Those passing incident, because that was the area where we had predominantly a lot of passes.
I wanna shift gears a little bit, if it's okay. What are your thoughts on Lance Stroll?
Okay, so I'll jump in.
Before you say anything, I'll say he finished right behind his teammate, some seconds down. Fernando finished 6th. He finished 7th. But it was about 8 seconds behind or so behind him. So, but what do you think?
So I think I heard some comment that somebody was making something, and he came back and he said before the race that he's implying like he's as good as Alonso, right? Because he finished in front of him in 4 races and whatever. And I think it's time for him to go, but his dad holds the purse string, so that's why he's there. Because even in the post-race interview that they did on the that they usually do on like the semi that goes around the track, he came across as being like a jerk. I'm just gonna say it that way. All right. So yeah. But I think regardless, Alonso can be 1-2, but still, I don't think he's anywhere near Alonso capability. And so for him to make that comment, dude, he's like a little kid. That's the way I said, so anyway, that's for me. That's my take on that.
You think he's hearing a lot of, I even said it on one of the episodes that if he didn't have a dad that was in F1, he probably wouldn't be in F1. But so I'm wondering if he's hearing that and he's being very defensive. And that's probably what you heard in that interview. I just checked the standings. He's 11th right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not top 10,
right?
But he's at least top 15 in the world. He's 11th in the world right now based on this year's results. I'm wondering if I need to walk back my comments, right? Because if you're 11th out of 20, or are there people sitting on the sidelines waiting to race and they're better than him and he's really not 11th, he's 18th or 22nd, but right now in the field of 20 that we have, he's 11th. He's right in the middle.
Listen, I'm gonna say this. I said it before, one of the earlier ones. Jacques Villeneuve was asked, he was a guest of the Williams team when Lance Stroll was racing for them. And they interviewed Jacques, and Jacques basically said, just to paraphrase him, he said, he doesn't belong here in Formula One. I'm just paraphrasing. He was more colorful and eloquent in it in what he said, but to the point. Jacques Villeneuve doesn't sugarcoat things. He just goes in, right?
Right.
And he basically said if it wasn't for his father's money paying for his seat, he wouldn't be here. And as a result of him being so candid, the Williams team said they were not going to invite him back again into the paddock because he was talking about their driver like that hard.
They wouldn't invite who back? Who's they not going to invite back?
They weren't going to invite Jacques back, right?
Okay.
When Lance was racing for Williams.
Would
Lance
you?
No. But I think he's being proven correct, right? And I mean that he's a world champion himself, that he's evaluating him and he's saying, no, if you didn't have money or your father didn't, or, back then, if you didn't have money, you wouldn't have that seat because your ability doesn't match, right, to be there. I think that's what we're seeing. So when you say he was a bit of a jerk, I have a term that I always say about all world champions, that they're all dickish at times. They have to be, right? They have to be dickish. That's where it is. Alonso, he's probably
king. He's the king.
Yeah, he's up there, right? And then you got Lewis and Max in there, but they all were, and then some of them, they can all become like big babies in a way too if they don't get their way, kind of thing, right? The difference with those individuals is that they back that up on the track,
right?
They could back it up. So the team, they'll have to handle them in some way, but they're like, he could go out there and do what he needs to do, and he'll bring the results home. So they'll tolerate that. Lance Stroll, no. I'll say it again. I don't think he should be there. I don't think.
I agree with that statement.
I don't think he should be there. He is nowhere near Alonso. No.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And the way he behaved today on the interview, it just came across very negatively to my.
So basically, what Lando is doing to everyone right now, he's saying F1 and he's putting up his middle finger. I'm just saying it. And moving a little bit from there, I mean, nothing against Logan Sargeant, but he's not giving a good showing either.
Yeah, he needs to go.
I forgot the name of the driver. Was it Tarnakian or something some years back? And I remember David Hobbs.
It was like Schumacher Jr. Crashed the car all the time.
Who?
Logan Sargeant. It's like Schumacher Jr.
Yeah, Mick. Mick. Yeah. But this other person I'm talking about was a driver. He was from Southeast Asia, and he was always crashing. He was always this. And one race, he was coming into the pits and spun the car. And David Hobbs said, "Oh my gosh, he's even spinning coming into the pits." It didn't take him long before he was gone. Like it was great. You want to do it, but you can't. So I think that's where it is with Lance. And Logan Sargeant, I should say. Like
so.
I think,
What do you think about Valtteri Bottas? Because they're pretty much right there, the same. As far
All right.
They're not the same. It's not the same. You cannot draw a parallel between both of them.
But hold on. No disrespect to Valtteri. When he was Lewis's teammate, Lewis had to measure him, right? Meaning, Lewis never saw him as a threat. He was never a threat, and even if there was a one-off occasion, it wasn't consistent. You know what I'm saying? That it became a threat. And when Mercedes decided to move on from Valtteri, Lewis wanted him to stay because, of course, Lewis knew he didn't have to think about that car. He could just go do it. But from a team's point of view, you need points. And it got to the point that he couldn't match him. So no disrespect to Valtteri. I wouldn't compare him to Logan, but he's a back marker. He's an also-ran driver in a sense, sadly to say that.
Based on the top 10 right now, they're not. Yeah.
Where did he finish?
And he's the only American Formula One driver we have right now, right?
Oh, you mean Logan? Okay.
Logan, yeah. Yes. It's America got to step up.
Sadly, it's like Scott Speed back in the day.
Exactly.
Scott Speed came in, and we don't know. I don't know what their path was to get there, but I don't know, man. From watching Formula One for the years I've watched it, you see certain things in certain drivers, and one of the things is they have the ability, they can adapt, and more also, they're consistent. You
think it's the pathway, right?
I'm saying I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their pathway is because they're coming from the U.S. over there. So they had to have gone over to go through the feeder series up. I'm just not sure what the path is for a U.S. driver to get in. I would assume it's the same path, but it's probably a little harder because you're not on the same continent.
So let me say this. I remember, Michael Andretti said, and other drivers have said that, before Liberty took it over, they said the only peace they got was when they were driving. When they're not driving, it was so much politics going on that, it was very difficult. So, I just wanted to put that in with that last comment. But before we roll on, I wanted to bring back, you brought up my man, Jacques Villeneuve, right? And I shared it with you guys. He made a comment about Donnie Rick, which I, agreed. And he was to the point.
Yeah.
He said he does not belong there.
Yeah.
So, and he's another driver. I think that's, his time has come and it's time for him to roll off because,
he did okay today. He finished in the points, 8th.
Yeah. But
first time.
Yes. So let's see the dry weather. Let's see dry weather on the track. Spain. Let's see Spain. I would do a retouch back on Spain, see what's up. But he had a conversation. It was on Sky. They pushed it out on a Skype.
Instagram.
On one of the other, Instagram. Yes, Instagram. And he was plain speaking.
Yeah.
Right. Plain speaking. And I agree with him that his time has come. Yeah. And it's time for him to go. Whatever mojo he had, he seemed to have kind of lost it.
It's sad too because, like I said in the past, it's not like with Felipe where he got hurt.
Right.
When he came back, you could see that he was different. It affected him, and that's Felipe. I loved him as a driver. He was great. I felt it from when he lost that championship to Lewis in Brazil. But yeah, I don't know what it is with Daniel because he was on fire. He went to McLaren, and as I saw in one of these programs, the person said to him, they have footage where they said, I told you not to trust Zach. I mean, did Zach mess up his mind? And then, oh my God, how can I? Red Bull, team principal,
Christian
Horner said in an interview that he said to Zach, what did you do to him? We had to build him back up or whatever. So I don't know what happened, but he is not the same as he was. It's sad. I like Daniel.
Yeah, I do too. His personality is, wow. If he's able to maintain that, it's unreal.
Yeah. Simon, any thoughts? Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I'm looking forward to Spain. I really think McLaren and Mercedes have caught up, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a good race. I think Ray is going to be wrong about Spain and Red Bull. because Sergio and Checo showed me everything I need to see. Everything I need to see. And Lewis is angry, and I like that. I saw him angry on his post interview. He said he had a really bad day, even though he came in fourth. So that means he still has the fire. And I really was scared that, Lewis is not as motivated anymore as he once was. But I think if he has a competitive car, in his mind, I'm getting my 8th championship. Right. And I'm hoping he gets that with Ferrari. I think that would be a nice send off. But yeah, I think Mercedes and McLaren are caught up, and Verstappen probably has a decent lead right now. But if he has one DNF, it could be anybody's championship.
Well, let me say this. As you say, Spain is really going to be it, as what Ray has been saying, because Spain has a very long straight. And then coming out of turn 9 into 10, there's another straight back there. Yeah, so that's going to be where we see. Like, Simon may lose $1. I don't know if it was up to $2. But I
can't wait, because I'm going on a spending spree with the $2 that Simon's going to be giving up.
Right. Can't even get a soda for that, but okay. And, I just want it. Right, there it is. So
two DRS zones. It's going to be great.
We shall see, we shall see. That's going to be the equalizer. So, okay. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Everyone, thank you for joining us. As always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on all things the fellas, and also ring the notification bell. With that, thank you everyone for coming out. Thanks to Ray and Simon, and we'll see you at the next race in Spain.
Latest.
Peace.